So many of us that she cut ties with the royal family, yet she keeps using this royal title as she sells jams.
This morning, Harry and Meghan stepping out together in London for the first time since announcing their very public split from the royal family.
Harry and Meghan, they're at it again. Another faux royal tour. Really, we've had quite a...
Harry and Meghan's financial world in the US just hit a sudden stop. Quietly, the word spreading around them is simple but serious. Clean everything. Delete the paper trail, remove links, and pray no one uncovers what they're searching for. Because when money suddenly freezes, accounts vanish, and access is cut without warning, no one sticks around to explain. Panic sets in, and the instinct is to leave fast. Today, we're explaining why they now want out of America, why security is suddenly being pushed again, and why cameras have nothing to do with it. This is about missing IRS filings and millions. Yes, serious millions, that may have finally reached a dead end. This isn't rumor talk. This is about documents, and documents are where things usually fall apart. Before we dive in, understand this. What's coming next will completely change how you see this situation. If you don't want to miss a single update, smash the like button, subscribe to FameX, and turn on notifications. Comment early too, your thoughts matter here. Now let's get into it. And let's be clear about something Americans know well. You do not mess with the IRS, ever. The IRS doesn't care about fame or family names. Royal titles mean nothing. Personal struggles don't count. Public image doesn't protect you. If numbers don't match, none of that matters. Sources say the IRS began reviewing Archewell just last week, and this wasn't routine. It followed rising pressure and too many unanswered questions stacking up. People have been asking for months, where is the money going? What are these expenses? Why aren't filings available? When noise grows loud enough, officials eventually step in. And here's what many still don't realize. When the IRS reviews a charity, it's not a quick glance. It's deep. They track who benefits. They examine personal-looking expenses. They follow money that might circle back to founders. Costs that appear to support lifestyles instead of missions get flagged. Think about that. Staff pay, travel, security, consulting, events, everything is checked closely. And if any of it seems to benefit the founders personally, alarms start ringing. And according to whispers, money labeled as charity spending may have flowed straight back to Harry and Meghan. Let that sit for a moment.
Once Meghan treated as an HRH, that's the most realistic on the list where you can go, I can see these two have.
This isn't about a small bookkeeping mistake. It's not a misplaced receipt or a missed form. We're talking about large sums possibly marked as charitable costs while actually serving personal needs. Pause and consider what that would mean. The consequences are massive. You can't spin this with good PR. You can't explain it away with a polished interview. This kind of issue doesn't disappear, it follows you. And this is exactly why the next step matters. When the IRS digs and finds problems, it has powerful tools. And one of the strongest moves is freezing everything. Accounts, assets, every dollar connected to the foundation, locked while the investigation continues. That's reportedly what happened next. Not a review delay, not a temporary hold. A full freeze, no access, no transfers, nothing moves. And when funds stop flowing, the entire operation shuts down instantly. And here's the key part. When your foundation is frozen and your money is unreachable, America suddenly feels very different. The place that once promised opportunity no longer feels welcoming when the questions keep coming. To understand this story, you must understand one fact clearly. Nearly everything financial for Harry and Meghan runs through Archewell. That's not exaggeration. Staff, lifestyle, image, expenses, everything depends on it. This isn't just a photo op charity. It's the backbone of the Sussex operation. Think of it this way, most celebrities have multiple income streams. Deals, businesses, investments. But for Harry and Meghan, Archewell is the center. Salaries are paid there. Costs are covered there. Staff wages, lifestyle expenses, PR management, security, all tied in. This organization isn't just part of their brand. It's what keeps the machine running. And that's where the trouble begins. As a public charity, Archewell must legally provide tax returns to anyone who formally asks. That's not optional, that's the law. In return for tax benefits, transparency is required. Multiple people followed the rules and requested the 2023 and 2024 filings. They submitted proper forms, and those documents never arrived. Requests were ignored. Even more telling, the IRS hasn't posted these returns publicly. And that only happens for one reason: the filings weren't approved. Here's why that matters. When the IRS reviews charity filings, it checks consistency, accuracy, and clarity. When something isn't cleared, it means questions weren't answered. Numbers didn't match. Someone reviewing those records didn't like what they saw. And once paperwork fails basic review, this stops being a PR issue and becomes something far more serious. Scrutiny increases. Pressure grows. And for an operation built entirely on one foundation, that's dangerous. If returns can't be approved, every transaction becomes questionable. Every payment is examined. When everything flows through one entity and that entity fails compliance, it's not a hiccup, it's a structural breakdown. Donors start doubting, partners pull back, and those funding the operation begin asking where the money really went. Now let's talk about another pool of money people whisper about: the Invictus Games Foundation. Large sums were raised, huge amounts moved, and now questions are being asked. This was meant to support wounded veterans, helping them heal through sport, a cause people genuinely want to support.
Women on the ground together, but at the same time to feel the palpable longing for family and friends while deployed.
And because people believed in it, donations poured in, corporations paid, governments funded, individuals gave generously. The money added up quickly, but here's where things turn uncomfortable. Birmingham received £26 million to host the games. Let that number sink in. Yes, hosting a global event costs money: venues, logistics, security, that's fair. But Birmingham itself was facing financial collapse at the time. Services were being cut. Budgets were broken. Yet a massive amount flowed in for this event. People started asking why. Where did it all go? What were the real costs? And why aren't veterans seeing more support? Because here's the reality: veterans remain underfunded. The very people Invictus exists for are still struggling. Meanwhile, large sums moved through connected networks. That doesn't add up. And when numbers don't make sense, people investigate. They follow the trail and notice the timing. Why is Invictus being questioned at the same time Archewell is under review? These aren't isolated issues. These are connected organizations, connected people, connected money flows. When one foundation raises concerns, others in its orbit get examined too. People start asking if this is a one-off or a pattern. And once donors, governments, and the public demand answers, the entire dynamic shifts. It stops being about just Harry and Meghan. It becomes about everyone involved: those who approved payments, those who benefited, those who signed off. And when pressure builds like this, institutions protect themselves. Support fades. Distance grows. Former allies start covering their own exposure. No one wants to be left holding responsibility when the questions get serious.
Well, initially, it's more their view of how they were treated that's caused upset.
No one wants to be the person who can't explain where the money went. This is where everything changes. It's no longer about managing image. It's about financial accountability, transparency, tracing the cash. And when scrutiny reaches this level, staying quiet becomes dangerous. According to emerging information, assets were fully frozen. Let that register. Not delayed, not reviewed, frozen, completely locked. When this happens, there are no quiet transfers, no behind-the-scenes fixes. Everything stops. Accounts are blocked. Funds are unreachable. And for Harry and Meghan, that's devastating because their entire setup reportedly depends on those funds. Think about it practically. Staff salaries stuck, security unfunded, PR teams cut off, lawyers no longer on standby, lifestyle expenses gone. Everything that flowed through the foundation stops instantly, overnight. Now the urgency makes sense, and here's what stands out most. They aren't defending themselves with documents. They aren't releasing clear records, because when paperwork is clean, you show it. You don't flee, you don't distract, you don't suddenly talk about security threats and leaving the country. But when money stops moving and access disappears, documentation becomes dangerous because it may reveal more than it protects. Maybe the filings raise more questions. Maybe the panic isn't about misunderstanding. Maybe it's about exposure. And when financial exposure hits, you don't sit calmly and work it out. You look for an exit somewhere else, somewhere scrutiny might ease, because once funding dries up, appearances collapse. You can't maintain image without paying the team behind it. You can't run operations without money. And that's why this response feels frantic, not strategic.
Their service, he's the founder of the Invictus Games and the father to our two little ones, Archie and Lily.
This isn't a careful plan, it's reactive, desperate. When people build everything on one financial structure and suddenly lose access to it, control disappears. The freeze changed everything. When you can't touch the money, the situation controls you, and suddenly we see exits being labeled security. That word is now everywhere. Safety concerns return. Protection demands revive. The UK becomes necessary. And the timing isn't random. Let's be clear, this isn't about paparazzi or drones. This isn't about photographers. This is about locked accounts and rising financial scrutiny. And right when that pressure peaks, security becomes the excuse. That's when America becomes unsafe. That's when leaving feels urgent. We've seen this pattern before. When finances heat up, safety narratives appear. This time, it's happening at a very specific moment, right after access to funds disappears. In the US, status doesn't shield you. Titles don't protect you. The IRS doesn't care about background. When paperwork fails, everyone faces the same process. But here's the real issue, it's not safety, it's jurisdiction. It's being somewhere with different rules, somewhere that feels less hostile. That's why security is being pushed so hard. Frame the move as protection and it looks justified. Not avoidance, just family safety.
For the time being, it's impossible for me to take my family back to the UK.
The timing exposes the truth. The foundation freezes, scrutiny intensifies. Safety suddenly dominates headlines, not months ago, right now. And here's why protection works as an excuse it's hard to challenge. Who argues against safety claims? It's the perfect cover for leaving quickly. But when you look at the sequence, it's clear. This isn't about danger, it's about escape. Britain suddenly looks appealing for one reason: deep roots, long-standing connections, familiar systems, the royal family. Lifelong relationships. Harry grew up there. He knows the rules. He understands the culture. This isn't about emotional healing or family bonding. The timing proves that. It's practical, strategic. When finances collapse in one place, you go where you understand the terrain. In America, they're outsiders. In the UK, Harry knows the system instinctively. That knowledge matters when pressure is high. And let's say what others won't, this isn't nostalgia, it's positioning. When scrutiny peaks, you move somewhere you have leverage. The UK offers that. Harry understands it in ways he never will America. And when rebuilding becomes necessary, insider knowledge is priceless.
As far as risk was concerned, and then overnight I was reduced to the lowest without actually going through the risk management board.
So if they head back to Britain, understand why. It's not sentiment, it's strategy. It's going where systems are familiar, relationships run deep, and navigation is easier. When everything else collapses, familiarity becomes an advantage. Maybe the last one left. Now let's talk patterns. Repeated situations with no consequences can create confidence, a belief that rules bend. That fallout never arrives, but that belief is breaking now, because resources are drying up, deals failed. Loans didn't happen, projects stalled. And reportedly, Harry had to fund things personally just to keep moving. That's not a setback, that's collapse. And it's not just money. Geography failed too. Canada didn't work. America started asking questions. The UK remains complicated. Public sentiment turned cold. Sympathy vanished. Every institution involved feels drained. This is what happens when image outruns substance. Stories can carry you for a while, but eventually results matter. Staff can't be paid with narratives. Math always catches up.
2027, but this story relates to Meghan Markle arriving on our shores this year. Talk about unwanted illegal immigration.
And right now, the math isn't working. Income stopped, expenses remained, deals fell apart. Numbers don't care about stories, they only add up or they don't. And this moment brings everything together: financial stress, geographic rejection, public distrust, institutional fatigue all at once. There's no backup plan, no safety net. Image was the currency, and that currency lost value. Now moves feel desperate. Statements feel reactive. The runway is gone. Confidence that rules didn't apply is colliding with reality. And power doesn't vanish suddenly. It erodes slowly through missing forms, frozen accounts, sudden relocations disguised as safety. If even part of this is true, this isn't gossip. It's a countdown. And we're watching it unfold live. Because money reveals truth when it stops moving.
Basically, it's kind of like a big umbrella that oversees lots of smaller charities.
Once access is cut, silence speaks louder than interviews. Documentation matters more than narratives. Tax filings don't bend. Numbers don't feel sympathy. Spreadsheets don't care about titles or trauma. Stories can be shaped. Interviews can spin, but records don't lie. Either the numbers work or they don't, and that's why everything connects. Frozen accounts, missing filings, Invictus questions, security narratives, a possible UK move. None of this stands alone. Together, it forms a clear pattern, and that pattern is growing louder. Financial documentation doesn't fade away. It demands answers. It creates pressure until something breaks. And right now, we're watching that pressure rise in real time.
The problem with these two is they don't listen to the people around them. And if they don't agree with the people around them...
The money stopped. Questions remain. The pressure keeps building. The records still wait. The math still needs to work. Until it does, this story isn't ending, it's just starting. So now it's on you. Are we watching a smart strategy or a last-minute scramble? Drop your opinion in the comments. I read them all on FameX, and if you want updates before anyone else, hit subscribe and turn on notifications. These situations move fast once they move at all. And trust me, you'll want to see what happens next.